I want to talk about one of the most important concepts in music theory, how we identify and analyze chords using a system of Roman numerals. If you get this, it's going to be a game changer in how you understand how one chord relates to another chord and to the entire tonal context of a piece. So let's start off by looking at a simple C major scale. This is my regular C major scale, and I'm going to look at things in this key for right now. I'm going to start by just notating a chord on top of every note in the scale. For example, a C chord, a D chord, an E chord, and so on and so forth. Every note in the scale. Now let's analyze each of these chords with the letter and the quality. This, I know I'm in C major, is a C major chord, capital C. Here we have D, F, and A. Does that match D major, D minor, or neither? It matches D minor, lowercase d. Now I have E, G, B. E major, E minor, or neither? It matches E minor. F, A, C. Does that match F major, F minor, or neither? It matches F major. If you're really comfortable with your key signatures, right now you're celebrating because these answers are coming so quickly. And if you're not, you're maybe regretting some things and wishing that you were more comfortable with your key signatures. No time like the present. Get comfortable with key signatures. Next, we have G, B, D. Does that match G major, G minor, or neither? It matches G major. A, C, E matches A minor. And B, D, F. Does that match B major, B minor, or neither? It doesn't match either one. B to D is a minor third. D to F is another minor third. That's a diminished chord. So lowercase b, diminished sign. And of course, we end right where we started with a C. For the purposes of what we're doing, the last note of the scale, the first note of the scale, the last chord and the first chord, they're the same thing. So we don't really need to analyze the chord for here. If I'm just notating scales, I have to put the extra note. But if I'm doing chords, I can just look at what are the differences. So we're going to ignore that for right now. So I've used letter names to analyze each of these chords. But the trouble is, knowing that this is a C chord and this is an F chord doesn't really tell me how they relate or connect or interact with each other. It could be C and F in the key of C. It could be C and F in the key of F. Or it could be something else entirely. So this is very good for identifying which notes are in the chord and the quality of the chord. But it's very bad at identifying the function and the placement and the context of the chord. Okay, well, what if we analyze the function and placement and context of the chord? Okay, well, this is scale degree 1. It's my tonic, so I'm going to write a 1. I'll do this above with a caret, little symbol, unit symbol that means scale degree. And I can do the same thing with all the rest. 2 with a caret, 3 with a caret, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this tells me the context. I know that that's the tonic, and that's the dominant, and that's the submediate. But it's really bad at telling me what the notes and quality of the chord are. So we have two imperfect systems. They both tell us some, but not all of the important information we need to know what's going on with the chord. Well, that's where Roman numerals come in. Because to show me the chord quality, I have to have case sensitivity. Numbers can't show me capital and lowercase. But to show the functionality, I have to have some sort of numerical element to show me which part of the chord and the scale it's in. So with Roman numerals, I can say that I am in the key of C major. And the first note is a major 1 chord. So in Roman numerals, I use the capital I to show 1. The second chord in the scale is a minor chord. So I use 2 lowercase i's to show a minor 2. Again, Roman numerals are just letters acting like numbers, so they do have case sensitivity, whereas numbers don't. There's no such thing as a lowercase 1 using our Arabic numeral system. But using Roman numeral systems, I can have an uppercase or lowercase for every single scale degree. So let's keep going. For the third chord in the scale, I use 3 lowercase i's, or I would call it a minor 3. So major 1, minor 2, minor 3. For my fourth one, I have a major chord, so I would write a capital 4. Now, remember that in Roman numerals, when I have a small value on the left of a large value, it's subtracting. So this IV 1, 5 is actually saying -1, 5, or 1 less than 5. So that's how we represent 4. For my fifth note in the scale, I have a G, so that's a major 5. For my sixth note, I have a minor A chord, so I write a lowercase v, lowercase I. When a small number is to the right of a bigger number, it's adding. So IV is 4, V is 5, and VI is 6. I should also point out it's very, very important that you put these brackets or the serifs at the top of each of these. For the 4 and the 5, you have to draw a line all the way across, especially connecting the 1 and the 4 as the 1 and the 5 here as part of the 4 symbol. If you don't do it, it's ambiguous whether you mean for it to be capital or lowercase. If you're typing, it's really clear which one you're doing. But when you're writing it by hand, you have to make extra careful that we are totally sure about what you mean to say. If you don't, I'm going to count it wrong. Now, for this one here, can you guess at what we're going to do? We've got 7, so and it's diminished. We write lowercase v, lowercase I, lowercase I. But that would be 7 minor, so what do? Diminish sign, just like we learned with the letter names. So much of what you've already learned is still valid, and there are still plenty of times when we're going to be doing that letter name analysis. It's going to help us identify Roman numerals, and it's going to get chords that are outside of a tonal context, and it's just good to refer to chords as this is a C chord, and that's a G chord, and that's a D flat chord. But when it comes to Roman numerals, we can use this symbol of analysis to build on top of what we've already done and give us even more information in a more concise and elegant way. Now, if that weren't enough, I mean, it would be, but if that weren't enough, there's more. Because every major scale has the same pattern of whole steps and half steps, and every major scale, by extension, has the same pattern of intervals. That also means that every major scale has the same pattern of chords. Not every scale is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, but every major scale produces major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7. I don't hear you cheering loudly enough, so I'll say that again. If you learn this pattern right here, then you know every chord pattern for every major key by simply knowing what the root of the chord is and what scale degree that is in a given key. you automatically know the quality of the chord. You don't have to analyze the chord to learn its quality. So for instance, if I'm in the key of C and I see a chord that's built on G, where G is the root of the chord, then I know that that is a major chord, because in C, G is the 5 and the 5 is major. Now, that's the way it works for major keys. But what about minor keys? Well, this is C major. Let's look at its parallel minor, C minor. C minor has 3 flats, B flat, E flat, and A flat. Well, B flat, E flat, and A flat mean that many of these chords are going to be different. So we can think this chord has an A flat. That means that while it is still scale degree 2, it's not a D minor chord. Well, this chord has an E flat and a B flat. So while it's still scale degree 3, it's not an E minor chord. This one has an A flat, so it's not F major. And this one has a B flat, so it's not G major. This one has an A flat and an E flat, so it's not A minor. And this one has a B flat, so it's not B diminished. Every chord except the first one changed its quality. So while minor scales only have 3 different pitches from major, the 3rd, the 6th, and the 7th, the fact that there are the 3rd, the 6th, and the 7th, one of those 3 notes, or more than one, in every single chord except the tonic, or including the tonic, I should say, means that we have a completely different tonal landscape, right? Because all of these chords are somewhere, or all of these pitches are somewhere in these chords. So let's analyze what a minor looks like. We've got C, E flat, G. Well, I already said we're in C minor, so you should know that that's a lowercase c, C minor. And now we have D, F, A flat. Before DFA was minor, DFA flat makes it diminished. Now I have E flat, G, and B flat. E flat, G, B flat fits with E flat major or E flat minor or neither. It fits with E flat major. Now I have F, A flat, C. Before F, A, C was a major F chord, F, A flat, C is F minor. Here I have G, B flat, D. Before I had G, B, D, that was major. So G, B flat, D is G minor. ACE was A major, but this is A flat, or sorry, A minor. But this is A flat, C, E flat, which is A flat major. And this is B flat, D, F, which before was B, D, F, which is diminished, but by lowering the bottom note, I've made it major. So C major had major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, diminished 7. But C minor changes all of that. I've got a minor 1, a diminished 2, a major 3, a minor 4, a minor 5, a major 6, and a major 7. I should point out that this is a very common spot for people to make mistakes, because in major, it's 4 major, 5 major, and 6 minor. And in minor, it's the reverse. 4 minor, 5 minor, 6 major. People often make mistakes here where they swap the 4 and the 6, or they write them in the wrong way. So just be very conscious of that. So now, every minor key, we learned the major pattern a second ago. Every minor key will follow the pattern of minor, diminished, major, minor, minor, major, major. So if you know those two patterns without stopping to analyze the chord, without counting in whole steps and half steps, without even thinking in one or more key signatures, simply by understanding which note is the root and which scale degree that note is in the key you're in, you can analyze that chord.